All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to talk about Indiana pre-admissions. My name is Victoria Fair, and I'm a post-secondary transitions manager here with the Indiana Commission for Higher Education. My position oversees the day-to-day operations of pre-admissions, as well as some of our new components that we'll talk about today, and then some of our state FAFSA strategy, as well as some of our grant work. Again, we are very excited to have you join us today. We also have Hillary here. I'll have her introduce herself as well. We are going to talk through the same mic, so it'll come through my mic, but she'll speak as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Hope you all can hear me. That's just kind of across the room for me a bit, but my name is Hillary Dordorf. If we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I am the director of K-12 Outreach and Post-Secondary Transitions. I oversee our post-secondary transitions team as well as our outreach team. That includes all the outreach coordinators that I know you all work diligently with to serve your students with FAFSA, state financial aid information, and probably the most with 21st Century Scholars. We're glad you're here. We hope we can answer questions today for you. I'll be in the chat, so any questions that you have throughout, happy to answer those, or you may hold those for the end when Victoria does a Q&A at the end as well too. So thanks for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedules.
Thank you, Hillary. As she said, you're welcome to ask questions in the chat. We also have some of our outreach coordinators on the call too, so you'll see some answers pretty quickly. And again, you're also welcome to save them till the end. So let's go ahead and get started today. Kind of a brief overview of what we're going to talk about. Just the general, what is pre-admissions, if this is a new program for you. What is Indiana resident admissions, which is new this year. Talking about some of our student and family communications. And then some reminders, cohort statistics, and then looking forward to class of 2027. And then we're going to end with our new Enrollment Ready campaign. So to kick off with what is Indiana pre-admissions? Indiana pre-admissions started in 2023. It's an initiative to help high school seniors start learning about their college options. So really we focus on how can we make sure that students know what options are available in the state of Indiana post-high school. So again, this started in 2023, so class of 2026 is our third year of doing this program. We're excited to continue to talk about how this is continuing to grow. Looking at how does Indiana pre-admissions work, so participating campuses or colleges set a designated cut score consisting of a GPA or SAT score during our MOU and data share agreement process in the summer. These cut scores are not public. The only thing that is public are our 4 open enrollment schools. So this year we have 4 universities that participate with a 0 cut score. So they take in a pre-admissions high school, which means any student gets at least 4 matches in their year this year. And so the rest of those cut scores are not, again, they're not public. Participating high schools submit rising seniors GPAs to us during graduation details collection. The commission is then sent SAT scores from the Indiana Department of Education. And then we take those GPAs and SAT scores and we match them to the cut scores set by the institutions. And then we cross-reference those and we send them out to the students as well as the campuses. This year, we had 40 universities participate in pre-admissions. We're very excited to have gained another institution, WGU Indiana, joined us from last year to this year. So we're very excited to continue to partner with all of these universities. I won't read them all off to you, so I'm just going to give a second for you all to kind of skim the list. But we're very excited to see that Ivy Tech, WGU, Vincennes and Martin are all open enrollment schools. So again, they take every student who's in a pre-admissions high school. So each student gets at least those 4 of the 40 on their letter. Then we're going to move on to what is Indiana Resident Admissions. This is a new program or part of the initiative. So Indiana Resident Admissions is part of the new Indiana High School Diplomas. So this is for students specifically that earn the Indiana Diploma with the Enrollment Honors Plus seal. If a student who earns this diploma seal and graduates with it, they will be automatically accepted to all Indiana public institutions. This was codified in Senate Enrolled Act 448 of the 2025 legislative season. Private institutions do have the option to opt in, so it's not just for public universities. Again, those privates can opt in if they'd like every year. This is a complementary of the Indiana pre-admissions initiative. So this works alongside. So you'll see we talk about Indiana pre-admissions. A lot of the times we are referencing Indiana resident admissions and Indiana pre-admissions. And this year we had 41 institutions that participated in Indiana resident admissions. So kind of how does this work? All public institutions are required to participate in Indiana resident admissions. Private institutions, again, they opt in annually via an MOU. Participating high schools submit the rising seniors' anticipated diploma types during graduation details collection. So when we are collecting those GPAs for pre-admissions, we're also collecting diploma types for resident admissions. We then match students based off their reported diploma type to the campuses participating in Indiana resident admissions. So very similar to Indiana pre-admissions. Again, we are just dealing with the enrollment honors plus seal of the new Indiana diploma, as opposed to GPA and SAT scores. This will continue to grow as we see that with the new diplomas being mandatory for the class of 2029, it's an early opt-in for the classes of 2026 and on until that is mandatory. So it is a student-by-student case if they'd like to opt into the Indiana diploma. And again, this is only for that enrollment honors plus seal. If the student wants to do the core 40, they would not be available for resident admissions. It would just be pre-admissions matches on their letters. Diving a little bit more into Senate Enrolled Act 448. So again, this bill codifies the Indiana Resident Admissions Initiative, guaranteeing acceptance at public institutions to students who graduate with a new Indiana diploma, earn the Enrollment Honors Plus seal, submit a score from a nationally recognized college admissions exam, and then of course meet other conditions established by the commission in collaboration with the colleges. And admissions approval does not guarantee admittance to a specific academic degree or program at the time at the college. So it does not guarantee a student's major. Indiana resident admissions just holds that spot for a student, but again, does not guarantee major. We had 41 universities or institutions participate in Indiana resident admissions this year. That is the graph for that. Again, I won't read you line by line this one as well, but I will just pause for a second for you all to see and scan what campuses participated. We're very lucky that with the first year of Indiana resident admissions and having private campuses get to opt in, we're very thankful that so many universities continue to partner with us in this new part of Indiana pre-admissions. So kind of moving into some reminders of Indiana pre-admissions and Indiana resident admissions. We do have caveats to this. So remember, Indiana pre-admissions does not guarantee admissions if the student GPA falls below an acceptable level during their senior year. So thinking about stable grade trends. The student does not graduate with the Core 40 diploma or the Indiana diploma with Enrollment Honors Plus seal for Indiana resident admissions. So if the student is doing pre-admissions matchings based off GPA and SAT, they'll need the Core 40 diploma. If they are doing Indiana resident admissions matching, it is that Indiana diploma with the Enrollment Honors Plus seal. If the student has a disciplinary violation or their requested academic program or major requires additional qualifications, a separate application, or a higher GPA SAT. Just wanted to reiterate again, pre-admissions does not guarantee admittance to a specific academic degree or program at the college. So pre-admissions matches do not guarantee a student's major. Looking at student and family communications, so this is what do we send to students so that they know where they were pre-admitted to. So this is a copy of the initial letter. The initial letter is what introduces pre-admissions to students. It informs students which campuses are or are not participating for their cohort for both Indiana pre-admissions and Indiana resident admissions. As I mentioned earlier, you'll hear we talk about Indiana pre-admissions. We include Indiana resident admissions in that. So Indiana resident admissions and pre-admissions are all referenced on this one letter. The other thing to know is that with this introductory letter, we like to say it's the, you need to know another letter is coming in the mail. Please know this is real. Please do not throw it away. This is a real letter that you're about to get, so keep your eyes open on your mailbox. And so this, again, this introductory letter is sent to the student, and it's a great way for them to just kind of learn more about their options and what's coming. Indiana pre-admissions official letters indicate which school a student has been pre-admitted to. It also includes next steps and how to secure their admission to the student's pre-admitted schools. We specifically use the term pre-admissions on purpose instead of what you might have heard as like direct admissions. Pre-admissions, we have the hope that it implies to the student that they have to do something to further their secure of their spot. So like being pre-approved for a credit card, you still have to apply. Being pre-admitted means you still have to apply by the deadline for the school to get secured admission. And then these letters also include FAFSA information. And then the parent gets a copy of this official letter as well. That says instead of dear student name, it's dear parent or guardian, your student has the ability to go to college in Indiana, and they've been pre-admitted to these institutions. On the parent version, we're very excited that it also features information on the back for them if they'd like to go back to school. So we talk about our adult student grant and other options available to them. Again, on the front of that letter, it is the student's matches, and on the back, it includes a full how to apply for the FAFSA. This then leads us to the Indiana Pre-Admissions website. So on their official matching letter, there's a QR code that'll take them to the pre-admissions website. This is kind of our one-stop shop to talk about if a student's not sure why they were pre-admitted or they want to learn more about the institutions participating and not participating. So when we pull up that website, at the very top, there is translated copies of all the letters in both Spanish, Burmese, and Hakachin, as well as the English translations. Below that, we have what we have as the legend. So this kind of talks about how does Indiana pre-admissions work, and it covers what we just went through about what is Indiana pre-admissions and what is Indiana resident admissions. Every school that participates or does not participate has what we call a tile on the website. That is just a block of information dedicated to that campus. At the bottom, you'll see that there are color-coded letters, which is a P, an R, and a C. The C we'll talk about in just a second, but really to focus on the P and R in this moment. So the P means that that school participates in Indiana pre-admissions, so that student was probably matched based off their GPA and SAT score. If they have the red or the light blue R, then that would mean that they participate in resident admissions based off the Enrollment Honors Plus seal matching. So as campus, you'll be able to look at their tile, you'll see what letters are at the bottom, and then they can look at the key and see why they may have been matched. Looking at 2025 versus 2026. So in Indiana pre-admissions, for 2025, we had 390 high schools. This year, we're very excited that 456 high schools opted in to participate. We went from 39 to 40 campuses. And again, this is just for Indiana pre-admissions. So that's that GPA and SAT breakdown of matches. In 2025, 67,000 decision letters were mailed. We had more than 74,000 letters that were mailed this year. So we're very excited to increase that number of students who got letters. And then looking kind of at those averages, this year on average, students were pre-admitted to 27 campuses, and 30% of students received at least 40 matches on their letter. And again, those minimums for a student, the average, as we said, was 27, but the minimum a student could receive was 4, thanks to our open enrollment schools. For Indiana resident admissions, we had 41 of 51 campuses participate. These matches were included in those Indiana pre-admissions letters. And then just looking at that a little bit further, we had 373 students in the 2026 cohort that have been reported as on the path to obtaining the Indiana diploma with the Enrollment Honors Plus seal as of September 19th, 2025. So that means if they were put as on track in an Indiana pre-admissions high school, then they received those matches on their letter. And we had those students that represented 27 high schools as of that date. Okay, and then we have a new Enrollment Ready campaign. This is a program that was designed for earlier outreach and engagement of students. So this started in spring 2025, and we have moved this to a fall send from now on. So these letters will go out in the coming weeks. They are actually with our vendor now, so we're excited to get those proofs and get those sent to students. But each letter, it's a grade-specific letter that goes out to 9th, 10th, and 11th graders that talks about tips and tricks to help them stay on track for graduation and then thinking towards college application. So of course, we want them to become enrollment ready, so we call the campaign Enrollment Ready. This campaign coincides with Indiana pre-admissions and is partnered with our College Go campaign. For the 9th grade letter, this is just a quick snapshot of what that looks like for students. Again, these will be coming out in the next couple weeks and mailed. But what it talks about is what is Indiana pre-admissions, what is Indiana resident admissions. It also talks about the College Core. And then we talk about what are some advice and steps to participate. So meeting with your school counselor, considering participating in an extracurricular or service activity, checking if your school offers the College Core, and then taking your GPA seriously because it's never too early to start thinking about your grades. And again, this will go out to 9th grade students all across the state. And then we have our 10th grade letter. So this is specifically geared again towards our 10th graders. Same thing that it covers pre-admissions, resident admissions, kind of talks about what are some general need to knows you need to know once they get your pre-admissions letter senior year. This will include taking the Career Explorer assessment and participating in a workplace experience. And then that 11th grade letter includes taking the ACT or SAT and going on a college tour. And then again, it's really preparing them that next year as an 11th grader, they'll get their pre-admissions letters in the mail. So they should really start thinking about what are things they can do ahead of time to get ready for that. And also knowing that they need to watch their mailbox. Our hope is that a student will have heard from us 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. So by the time senior year pre-admissions letters roll out, they should just be waiting out their mailboxes and know that they're coming. On the letters, you'll see the QR codes. That will take us to an enrollment ready website. This is not live yet, but it will be live when the letters are sent. What that will do is it'll cover copies of each of the letters so students can see them. If for some reason theirs got lost in the mail, it'll also have translated versions. And then it'll also feature information on all of the colleges participating in the Enrollment Ready campaign. So that will include tiles like we have for the Indiana pre-admissions website, but instead of it having application deadlines and FAFSA codes, it will include just explore. So how can you explore this campus as you're becoming enrollment ready? It'll be just click and go, and it'll take you right to the university's website. Our newest version and tool that we have that is live now, so we're very excited. Students have already started filling it out. That's part of the Enrollment Ready campaign, is the College Connection widget. This is on ScholarTrack. Again, it's live, so students can start doing this now. Any student who's 13 and older, you have to be 13 to have a ScholarTrack account. You can log in and opt in to receive more information from institutions of their choice on ScholarTrack. So they will be able to log in. They'll see, as you see in this image, and it'll have 5 options, and you can continue to add more post the 5. But they'll go through it as a drop-down menu. They can click which universities they're interested in, and they'll be able for us to then download the report and send it so that those schools can do earlier outreach to your students. So this will happen. Again, it's live now. You can have your students log in. They're able to change their selections at any time. So if they'd like to switch and hear from a different university or add one in, it is live, so they can do that. They can also unsubscribe from communications, but they'll need to do that from the universities directly. So if a school reaches out to them, is doing that engagement of, oh, you want to become a student here, you'd like to learn more information. If they decide they want to unsubscribe, they'll just need to do that at the bottom of the email or let the admissions office know. Students will also have the option to indicate career interests. So on there, you'll see where it has the 5 campuses. It'll have a second tab. They can click career interests, and there will be a drop-down menu of majors or career paths they're interested in now, just so we have a better idea of, oh, we know they're interested in this school and they want to be in this major. Let me go ahead and let the institution know, and they can do even more targeted outreach of information for the students. The student, again, will have the option to opt out through all of those communications, and institutions will be given lists of interested students periodically. So we will, in a monthly cadence, download that list, send it to institutions participating, and let them know what students have selected them on the widget. And again, this is live, so please feel free to start encouraging your students to fill this out now. We have 47 campuses that participated in the College Connections widget. We're very excited to have them all for this inaugural year of the widget. The institutions themselves do have to opt in, just like with Indiana pre-admissions and the privates for Indiana resident admissions. And so again, they opted in to participate in the widget and to have that information from students, to have that outreach earlier. So we are very thankful they signed on this year. And then looking at cohort 2027. So this year of Indiana pre-admissions is almost over. The students should be getting their matching letters any day now if they haven't already in their mailboxes. You should have also received an email from us today if you are an Indiana pre-admissions contact that talked about just some general statistics that we've covered today, as well as our helpful Q&A guide that we publish every year. But looking into 2027. So timeline-wise, if you're thinking about what you'd like to do, if you'd like to participate next year, Indiana high schools have the opportunity to opt in during the spring. So you will receive email communications, probably even phone calls, of helping you opt in if you have any questions on the process. I do want to remind everyone that this is an annual opt-in. So just because you signed up this year doesn't mean you're automatically signed up for next year. So you will need to refill the opt-in form every year. Institutions that want to participate, so campuses, they have until June 30th to agree to participate in Indiana pre-admissions for the 2027 cohort. And then students and families will receive their pre-admissions letters in August and September of next year. So again, if you are a high school representative and you want to participate next year, there will be an opt-in form that will be sent out. It'll come from the pre-admissions email. It'll also come from your outreach coordinator. So we'll send that through a variety of ways for you. And then again, you'll probably also get a phone call if you have not opted in yet. And you're welcome to email too if you have any questions about participating. But that again will happen in the spring. And then really this is just a time for Q&A. We know that there are some questions. I saw that Hillary was responding to some in the chat as we went. But really we wanted to open some time for any live questions that you may have. Please feel free to type them in now. And that pre-admissions website on this, or email on this slide is going to be the best way to contact us. So if you email preadmissions@che.in.gov, we are happy. There's a team of us who answer that, who can answer your questions too, if you have maybe something that's a little bit more school specific that you'd like to do in a different way. And yes, so this webinar was recorded, and we are happy to have you, we were happy to send that out to registrants as well. And Hillary also put in the chat, if you did not receive an email today from our office and you are a pre-admissions contact for your school for this year, please feel free to email us and we are happy to update the contact and also forward that email to you. And then someone asked if we started earlier than 11. We started just a few minutes after 11. But again, this will be recorded and published on our YouTube. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And if for some reason you had your question in earlier and you're not sure if it was answered or addressed, feel free to re-put that in as well. Okay, I think with no other questions, again, we want to thank you all for joining us today on your busy breaks. We know it's around fall break season. So if you have not had your fall break yet, feel free to, and not feel free, but just enjoy it. We're very happy for you to get your break time. But again, we're very excited for you all to have joined us today. You're welcome to email us at that pre-admissions email if you have any questions. It does look like we just got a question in. So yes, if a student does not take the SAT or ACT, they will not be pre-admitted because they must submit a score during the application process. And we will hang out just a few more minutes.
So Grant, can you clarify, is that based on the matching information or like with the college specifically when you talk about SAT or ACT?
Yes.
Because students can be pre-admitted.
Yes, if it's test optional, yes.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. It's if we don't have a score in place, then we cannot match them. So typically, if we do not have an SAT score, we put in a 0 for the student, and then we are able to match. Thank you, Hillary. So one just needs to be in place to get matched.
So for any of your students, when we receive that SAT information from the Department of Education, we will put that SAT score into Scholar Track. If the student does not have an SAT or an ACT score, which we are an SAT state, so we're using SAT scores, and SAT scores are what are being given from colleges for matching, we will input a 0 into Scholar Track for that student. And then by the time that we match, we do not have an updated SAT score from the end of their junior year or their summer. We will match based off of that 0 score. With the information that is given by colleges, some colleges determine that they only want to match via GPA, some only want to match via SAT score, and some want to use both.
Yes.
So depending on what the college tells us and what they have set as those that criteria, we will match based off that information. But if it is just GPA, which many of our institutions are just GPA, then those students will receive those matches.
Yes, we would just need a score or a 0 in the system for pre-admissions matching.
The student gets the honors diploma and they can't get pre-admitted without official score. So we are talking about two different things. So pre-admissions is your SAT, GPA, and or, right? Then we have Indiana resident admissions. So when you're talking about the honors, enrollment honors plus seal, it's a long seal. I love that. That is specific to that seal, not taking into consideration the GPA and or SAT score. So those are two separate things. So I've submitted into the chat, and for anybody who's watching later on our learnmoreindiana.org / pre-admit, that is the website where you can find a list of our schools and how they are participating. So if they are participating in pre-admissions, if they're participating in Indiana resident admissions, and if they are on the College Connection tool. So for students who have the school on their list, on their letter in Scholar Track, that list is encompassing of pre-admissions and Indiana resident admissions participating. So if the school is participating in both pre-admissions and Indiana resident admissions, it could have been because of the diploma or because of the GPA and SAT score, or both if students met both criteria for that school. I hope that was clear for you, Grant. Other than SAT and ACT, are there other scores? Not at this time. So it's SAT is what we are using. Lynn with Stanford 10 national exam. No, we are not utilizing any other score other than SAT at the moment. Great questions, everybody.
If there's any other questions, again, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay, well, we want to thank you all again for attending today. With this, if you have any other questions at the end, again, please feel free to email that pre-admissions email account, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to email us. Thank you again for your time today. Bye.